What's up, everybody? Welcome in on this Sunday night to the Rebel Report. My name is Michael Borky. Glad that you are with me. And yeah, I'm wearing one of these new Super Talk hats. If you want one, you have to show up to either start. You missed Oxford. It's too late. We already did the Oxford stop of the Not Fall Camp Tour. You got to show up to Starkville on Wednesday or Hattiesburg on a week from Wednesday. And who knows, they might be for sale sometime soon. But it's actually navy blue. It looks black on the screen, but it's actually navy blue. But I love this hat. I have not taken it off since we got them. And so please come see us there. Oxford was awesome. Met a lot of people, a lot of you guys. And that was really, really cool, especially for 3 to 6 o'clock on a Wednesday in Oxford. So that was cool. Come by and see us on the other ones, though. But we're not here to talk about the Not Fall Camp Tour. We're here to talk about the scrimmage that was closed unless you gave enough money. So it wasn't a closed scrimmage. It was a closed if you as long as you were in the right giving level, I guess, or in the right club, you could have gone. But reportedly, it did not go well for the offense. We're going to talk about that tonight. Or should you panic? Should you be worried? What the hell happened to the offense today at Ole Miss's not-so-secret scrimmage? Or I guess it was yesterday at the not-so-secret scrimmage. We'll talk about that tonight on this edition of the show. Again, my name is Michael Borky. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just search Rebel Report and subscribe if you like what you hear, and leave a rating and a review. Also, right here on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well, because I will be – once the season begins, you're going to start getting extra content on YouTube, this one, and also on Super Talk's YouTube. So wherever you are, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Before we get into some scrimmage thoughts, I want to tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Toyota of Brookhaven. Check them out. ToyotaofBrookhaven.com is the website. You can see all of their inventory there on the site. You don't have to live in Brookhaven to get a great car buying experience. It's worth the trip. I'm telling you. I have been a person that has bought a car out of convenience, and it was a bad mistake, one that I will not make again. Don't fall victim to a dealership that's not going to take care of you the right way. They will at Toyota of Brookhaven. They have great interest rates as well, in-house financing on the new Tundra in particular, a great used selection, also a service department that is one of the highest rated in the state. And oh, by the way, if you told them that I sent you, $1,000 on me. If you just tell them that I sent you $1,000, any new Toyota before anything else, you'll just get $1,000 knocked off because you told them that I sent you. So my co-host on the radio show, Brian Haydad, does a thing on his podcast. The theme is "These are the things that are true," and I guess they do that after every football game and the other major weekends and stuff as well. They lay out, here's what's true after the game. It's actually really good content. He and Robbie do a really good job with that. I'm going to do a little bit of these are the things that are true after Ole Miss's not-so-secret scrimmage over the weekend, apparently not going particularly well for the offense. So the offense struggled. Reportedly, Austin Simmons in particular with accuracy, through a couple of pick sixes, I think a trio of interceptions. Offensive line struggled. It was not a banner day for the offense. So here are some things that I believe are true about how you should react to a scrimmage that you or me or anybody, unless you were at the right giving level, were in attendance for. This is all secondhand information, and those that got to watch don't know what they were trying to accomplish. Now, here's what I mean by that. I am not suggesting that the people that got to watch know less ball than I do. That is not the case. I would be saying the exact same thing about myself if I got to go, but the media was not allowed. This applies to everybody. This applies to training camp practices. This applies to everything. If you are watching a football team practice and you don't have a headset on, sometimes you don't know what they're trying to accomplish with things that they are doing. Is it a certain set, or defensively, are they trying to give them a look that they've never seen before? Are they trying new personnel on the offensive line? Are they trying new schemes? There's so much that goes into what they're trying to accomplish in a practice. And if you don't know what they're trying to accomplish, then it's hard to take a full 100% like takeaway from anything that happened. Okay, so that's a big caveat when you're talking about training camp or scrimmages or college practices or whatever. If you don't know what they're trying to accomplish, it's hard to take have a real takeaway without that level of nuance. So that's just kind of like a caveat throwing out there. I'm not questioning the ball knowledge of anybody there. They more than likely, every single one of them knows more than me, but they still don't know what the plan was going into this. And so therefore, if X player struggled or X player did good, the reasons why doesn't exactly mean that it's going to look just like that in a game, if that makes sense. The first big thing, Austin Simmons struggling in a scrimmage is one of those things where I say file it away in case turnover stuff comes up later this season, but I wouldn't be concerned at the moment. This is why we talk all the time, broken record type stuff about young quarterback going to make mistakes, has to learn, has to grow. It's good, frankly, that it's happening now as opposed to what will be game week for Kentucky 3 weeks from now when most of you guys are listening to this anyway on Monday. He's going to make mistakes. We talk about this all the time. He's going to learn things. He's going to screw up. And again, we don't know what they were trying to accomplish with offense or defense in this. But if he made mistakes, that should not surprise you, nor should it concern you. It's a thing that quarterbacks do at times. Austin Simmons is not a football playing robot. He is a human being. He's going to make mistakes. He is a young quarterback. Sometimes he's going to have a bad day of practice. Sometimes he's going to have a bad week of practice. He's still learning. He's still growing. File it away for later. But a young, talented quarterback making some mistakes in a scrimmage situation is not in any way, shape, or form reason to panic whatsoever. You'd rather it happen now than in Lexington in week 2, and you hope it doesn't happen in Lexington in week 2. If you're going to make mistakes as a young quarterback, it's good that it's happening now. So I'm not overly worried about that other than just file it away, and if turnovers become an issue later on, here was a sign for you, but young quarterbacks screw up, whatever. The other part of this that I want to talk about that's the biggest thing, and I've been stubborn on it, and I've gotten a couple of DMs from you guys telling me about how great this guy looks on the offensive line and how great this is, and they're going to be better than you think and stuff like that. This is why I've been so we need to wait and see about the offensive line because nothing that you hear from camp should change your skepticism about this position group until proven otherwise. I am willing to give wide receivers the benefit of the doubt, even though they're new at Ole Miss, because they've proven that they can take transfers and make them work. I'm willing to give benefit of the doubt to Pete Golding with the secondary because he has proven he's been able to make it work. I'm willing to give benefit of the doubt of the defensive line despite losing some guys because they have proven that they are that they are able to make it work, bringing in talent, losing talent. Pete Golding, Randall Joyner, those guys are proven. Ole Miss's wide receivers, proven. Lane Kiffin with quarterbacks, proven. Offensive line struggling is not that way. And look, we're going to go through a couple of things here. They were up against a very good to possibly great defensive line. That is part of it. So if you read that the offensive line struggled, then they are going up against what is possibly a great talent perspective on paper. There's a chance that they have elite talent and elite ability on the defensive line. So that I'll give them some grace there. That is part of it. That is part of it. That what they have on the defensive line, they have recruited in ways that the best programs on the defensive line, as we've talked about, that the best programs in college football do on the 4- and 5-star players on the entire 2 deep. Plus, every player that will take a meaningful snap for Ole Miss on the defensive line is a former 4- or 5-star player. That is what they have amassed on the defensive line. It is extremely talented. It is very deep as well in terms of the talent on paper. There's maybe only 2 teams that they will play this year that have a defensive line across the board that have the on paper depth and talent that Ole Miss does. I think LSU and Georgia would be the two. South Carolina's got Stewart, but I don't know if they have the depth across the board that Ole Miss does. I mean, Oklahoma's going to have studs on the defensive line. It's the SEC, right? Most everybody you're going to play is going to have studs on the defensive line. But when it comes to across the board talent and depth, there's really only two defensive lines that I think are going to be exactly on par with the one that they are facing in practice every day. So that's giving them some grace. Injuries are also part of it. They had reportedly Kuta still out, the Arkansas transfer, and Williams as well. And here's the thing about that. That is true that an offensive line down two starters, it's fair that they struggle some. But Kutas hasn't been at Ole Miss the whole time. So him not being able to practice is concerning. And I know he's got a ton of experience. I get it. But again, I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt to John Garrison or the offensive line until they prove it. And they have a chance to prove it, but until they prove it, well, this guy's going to be fine when he gets healthy is not something that I'm going to agree with, because we saw what they did last year with high-profile transfers coming in. They didn't perform well. So, well, Kutas is hurt. Okay, but he has not been with the program long enough to miss a bunch of time and just, boom, snap your fingers and everything's totally fine when he returns. And the same thing with Jaden Williams. When he plays, he's capable, but he's oft injured. And if that's going to be another issue again, that's a big problem for the offensive line. They have not earned the benefit of the doubt. I think at this point, again, by the time most of you guys are going to be listening to this, 3 weeks until it's game week for Kentucky, and they're still moving guys around to figure it out, you shouldn't like the sound of that. Oh, well, they're still moving guys around to figure out what they actually have. You're 2 weeks from the season. And I know it's Georgia State, but still, time is kind of running out. And the fact that you are still having those conversations on August 10th, I think, is concerning. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean they can't be good. It doesn't mean they can't be solid. It doesn't mean those things. I know, but this idea that, well, you've got two guys out now, that'll be fine when they get healthy, no big deal. And, they're just moving guys around, figuring it out. That's not good. And most importantly, this is another illustration that they do not recruit that position or develop that position group well enough. That is the one thing. Not the one thing. I mean, every program is flawed sometimes, but Lane Kiffin's done a hell of a job at Ole Miss. He's done a great job. He has elevated the floor of the program. He's brought interest to it. They're winning football games. They've been remarkably consistent over the last 4 years. The portal strategy has worked. A lot of things are going right. Offensive line is not. They don't recruit the position well enough. They haven't developed the position well enough. The transfers that they brought in have not performed at a level that the other transfers at other positions have. It is a glaring problem with this program. And I would love to be proven wrong. I hope that everything I said just now gets clipped and shared at the end of the season when they go 11-1 and they have the best offensive line in the world. I would love to be wrong. I think that the only feeling that you should have right now towards the offensive line is concern. They have not earned 1 second of the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise at that group. And hearing them struggle again this weekend is not surprising. They deserve some grace because of who they were playing against. But when you talk as a program that you want to compete for championships and compete for a playoff spot, you're going to have to play good defensive lines to get there. You're going to have to be able to run the football to get there. You're going to have to be better than they've been on the offensive line over the last 2 years to get there. So we'll see. There's still time. This could be just simply a one-off, but it's not just a one-off concern. This has been a concern for 2 years, and it was a concern this offseason, and they're still moving guys around, and they're still not healthy, and it's August 10th, and reportedly the young quarterback couldn't stay protected in a scrimmage. That's not good. So Anyway, podcast is brought to you in part by Priority One Bank. They make you their priority every day with their online banking platform. It's a great one. All you need is an internet connection. You can do whatever you need to do with your money because that's what they do at Priority One Bank. Again, there's 16 locations in Mississippi, likely to be one in your backyard. Bank with me at Priority One Bank, and also Advantage Business Systems. Check them out, absms.com. Advantage Business Systems has you covered if you're a Mississippi business anywhere in Mississippi and you need tech for the office. absms.com is the website. Tell them I sent you. Get a complimentary office technology assessment. So you tell them what you need and what your budget is, and they will find a solution for you on me. Advantage Business Systems, absms.com. Everyone hit the panic button. First comment. Yeah, everyone hit the panic button. Oh, let me see if that. I need to figure out how to make this box bigger. Oh, what did I just do? I don't want to do that again. Did not like that. Sorry about that. That box, I wish it could go bigger, like up the side. Anyway, FedEx Golf Championship was pretty fun today. Oh, it was outstanding, man. It really was. You got Scotty lurking. Can Fleetwood finally get over the hump? He was in control in the back nine. And here's J.J. Spawn, the U.S. Open champion, making a bomb putt. And here's Justin Rose, the long-time journeyman and the ageless wonder. And yeah, you had one hell of a Sunday there. And I mean, I feel for Fleetwood. He seems like an incredible dude. Everybody that has been around him talks glowingly about him, but some people just don't have it. Some people just don't. And Tommy Fleetwood may just, I know he's won on the European Tour, now the DP World Tour. Not the same. It's just not the same. Some guys are clutch, some guys aren't, and he's the anti-clutch. It is what it is. Defense is always ahead of the offense in preseason camp. Yeah, it's time to worry about it. 8-4. Maybe the defense isn't that bad. Pete seemed really high on them. Same with Lane, just who's going to start and where. I mean, like I just said, I have nothing but great things to think and feel about Pete Golding and his ability to coach great defense. That is not something I'm worried about. And the benefit of the doubt in general in the offense needs to be given considering who they're going up against. Pete is one of the best, and I expect defensively them to be quite good again. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be concerned about their ability to protect and run the football and stay healthy on the offensive line. You'd rather hear this stuff out of practice than what's going on at a place like Auburn? Tell me more. Did something else happen at Auburn, or is it more of the same about babying their quarterback? And then you have the drama at LSU. Yes, a player allegedly housing on campus 2 individuals allegedly involved in a murder, and claimed he had no idea that they were, and there were weapons inside the on-campus apartment. Yeah, bad deal. Did Dart have similar scrimmage issues his first year? I would expect all young quarterbacks have issues in scrimmage. That is the thing that when you read all this stuff out of practice, Austin Simmons making mistakes is the least I'm concerned about it. But also, I'm one of those people that thinks that it's okay that he's not perfect right away. That if he has bad moments this season, it's not the end of the world. I'm not talking about Heisman with him or anything like that. I have realistic expectations for his ability this season. I think his talent ceiling is unbelievably high, but I think his being a human being could also lead to some growing pains, and hopefully it gets all out of his system during training camp, but there's a chance that it doesn't. Strength on strength, I'm taking the defense because they're capable of wrecking the offense up front. This team just can't afford offensive line injuries, and Jaden Williams has an injury issue we've already seen. It's just a massive problem. Can't stay healthy on top of their lack of performance, which is why I always question teams like Mississippi State and Florida at quarterback. If you're proving you can't stay healthy, it's a massive problem. No doubt. No doubt. That's like, I'm seeing a lot of like Pelicans media because they're not too terribly far from starting their season. And nobody's really high on the organization or the team right now, nor should they be. But you've got people saying, well, when healthy, look at how good these guys can be. And it's true. Zion, when healthy, is unbelievable. People call him a bust. He's not a bust on the court. The problem is he can't stay on the court. But when he plays, he's elite. The team itself has had such a hard time staying healthy. And so when you say, look at how talented they are when they're healthy, and it's a team that for years has not been healthy, you know, okay, that's just who they are at this point until proven otherwise. It's crazy to think, but the offense should be what people are worried about instead of the defense. That was all last season, though. Can they afford top offensive line recruits? They can afford top defensive line recruits. I think, especially after reading that story in The Athletic this week about player movement, offensive line is the position in college football that transfers the least. There are fewer good offensive linemen out there to begin with, and they don't leave. So that is a position, so far anyway, that seems like one where your best bet is to recruit and develop high school players. And they're trying to do that, and they're trying to portal guys, and it's just not working. Not at the level that it needs to be. I mean, you could talk about drops in the LSU game, fumble against Kentucky, stuff like that. Offensive line is why they didn't make the playoff last year. At the root of it, they weren't good enough up front. That's why. Couldn't run the football. Regardless of the running back situation, they still weren't good enough up front. That was still an issue. Part of the reason you think they lose to a team like Oklahoma is the offensive line gets beaten on top of LSU and Georgia. Yeah. Running back and O-line needs to get it together, or there needs to be some overdue changes to the staff. I think that I'm buying what they've got at running back. I do think that I'm buying there. But if they're not given the opportunities to run, then what's the point? Pete greater than Lane in recruiting the trenches? Yes. Outside of non-con last year, when did they pass protect well or create running lanes? Arkansas is the answer. So now with Simmons turnovers, here's an exercise. What turnover differential can Ole Miss survive with against Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tulane? That's a good question. I mean, I don't think that you're going on the road and winning even against a bad Kentucky team with a negative turnover margin. I don't think you are. Let's mention Jackson Dart for a minute. He had a hell of a performance, very efficient, made a great touchdown throw, but doesn't matter because Shedeur Sanders got a first down and Nike made an ad of it. Yeah, what's unfortunate about all of that is the discourse adversely affects the players that these people are trying to support. Like at the end of the day, people like everybody on ESPN. What a garbage network ESPN has become with their total inability to discuss things with layers and nuance. Going into the game, it was Shador's being set up to fail with no explanation for how that is, right? It didn't make any sense, but that's what they said, and that's what they created. That's what they manufactured. And then after the game now, it's he better start week one. It's like it was a preseason game against the Panthers backups. Let's slow down a little bit. He did look good. He did look comfortable. It was an impressive performance. But when you take a half of a preseason game against the worst defense in the NFL a year ago's backups and turn that into everybody was wrong, Mel Kiper was right, starter day one, blah, blah, all that crap, you're setting him up for failure is what you're doing because you're going to create enemies for this guy when he's not asking for that right now. Well, I mean, they kind of do. Him going after a Cleveland radio host after a preseason game about how why are you going to talk good about me now? It's just so pathetic, man. It's guys like me don't matter. I don't matter. what I say doesn't matter. And if Lane Kiffin were to like or Austin Simmons or whoever, right? If John Garrison were to send me a DM and was like, you don't know what you're talking about, we're great up front, that is a sign of a problem. That's a big problem because I'm a nobody. What I say shouldn't matter to you. But like when Houston Nutt goes after Neil McCready for picking his team to lose, after his team loses, then you know there's a real problem internally, right? That coach knowing about a picks column on a website is a indication of a problem with the coach. Just like Shedeur Sanders going after a Cleveland radio host after one preseason game is a sign of a problem, like whether it's insecurity or something. I didn't like that part of it. So he's getting set up to fail because when he eventually starts making mistakes, all these people that otherwise wouldn't have had an opinion about him are now going to be aggressively anti-Shedeur. It's like this with Jackson Dart. I saw a lot of New York media, and I understand why. Like, he looked great. He looked really great. I watched him play. He looked awesome. But he's going to make mistakes. And he's going to the best thing for him is to not be the starter week one. That is the best thing for him. Russell Wilson's there. Learn from him. Hold a clipboard, ideally for an entire year before you're thrown into that. When he goes out to the next preseason game, all these people that were like, wow, start Dart week one, he's better than Wilson, all that stuff, are setting him up to fail because eventually he's going to make mistakes too. It's a preseason game against backups. I mean, go scroll through some of the names of guys that played really well over the weekend. Like Mitch Trubisky was fine. You know, it's so yes, Jackson looked great. But people take way too much out of these preseason games, way too much. But he did look great, and it was good to see that. Is Charlie Weiss paid more than Pete Golding? I don't believe he is. No, I think this year is the deepest the linebacker group has been in a long time. Very well could be. Very well could be. This so-called deep receiver room won't get the light of day if Simmons can't bear to look up for more than a second with someone crashing the line. Well, just like last year, a lot of people talked about, well, how do you help with offensive line issues, quick passing game, screen, stuff like that. And of course, they didn't do anything like that. And, you know, it's a dumb thing to question Lane Kiffin, but it still felt odd that they weren't doing more to alleviate issues on the offensive line. And then John Gruden, I keep going back to that. I keep going back to the John Gruden thing because that was validation for everybody that thought they could have done more to help alleviate offensive line issues. He called them out on it. And that's a Super Bowl winning head coach. So you hope that maybe they can run some 2 tight end sets or something to help if this becomes an issue during the season. Getting the ball out of his hands faster, stuff like that. Once you make it big, every Ole Miss fan will feel it in recruiting. Offensive line's in an awful spot for the entire sport. Yeah. Thoughts on Chase Matthews committing to Auburn and the consistency of players leaving Mississippi? It is fascinating because it's not just Mississippi. More so here than other states, sure, but like a guy from the Mobile area is going to Oregon. There's a lot more player movement now than there used to be. And 2 things can be true at once. 3 things can be true at once. As long as you're getting equally talented players, it doesn't matter where they come from, right? If you get a good wide receiver, it doesn't matter that this wide receiver is from Georgia and this guy's from Mississippi. As long as you get good ones, it doesn't matter where they come from. Just get good players. Good players win games. So that's true. 2, it is odd that they're not able to lock down the state better with how much success that they've had. lately. And Some of it is just a desire for people to leave. Some of it is money. Some of it's all of those things, right? And number three, when you look around and see so many players leaving their home states, it works out for a lot of them, right? You go somewhere and you become a star, and you go to the NFL, and that's great. I do think some of these players are making short-sighted decisions about their future. Guys that are transferring 3 and 4 times before they even develop into a player. I mean, you just saw the story. There's a high-profile recruit back in his recruiting days, anyway, that went to Mississippi State and then um, went to Arkansas State for a semester, and now he's going to the junior college route. Just didn't stay long enough to become an SEC football player. It's a short-sighted decision. You've got guys leaving their home to go somewhere else, and again, that's fine. That's totally fine. But um, what happens if you don't become a superstar on the other side of the country? You've got nothing to come back to. Good players from Alabama that go to Alabama can have a future in Alabama and kind of ride that wave for the rest of their life. Good players from Alabama that go to Oregon that are just good and try to go back to Alabama don't have that same wave to ride. Maybe I'm overthinking that. I don't know. But that's my thought is there are guys that have played at their in-state school that were not elite players, but they were good players. And they are more likely to have a future riding that wave, doing something using the NCAA's line other than sports. And look, sometimes schools have great alumni networks that take care of guys, even if they come from out of state. And that's great. But I don't know. You see it a lot in youth sports too. I mean, you've got these kids that are moving. Instead of playing for their hometown team, they're going to play for this private school on the other side of their area. They're moving to go play at IMG or whatever. Like, we're teaching poor loyalty at young ages now. You've got kids bouncing around these travel teams and stuff like that. I think it's like a cultural phenomenon more than anything else that nobody's really loyal to anything anymore. That playing for your in-state school matters less because you transferred high schools. I hope that my son, if he plays sports, feels pride wearing Madison on his chest. I don't care how good he becomes, and he's got my genes, so it probably won't be very good. But we will not send him to a school in Florida to go play sports. If you're good enough, the coaches will find you. And if you're good enough, you've got everything you need right here to become a great player, to maximize your ability. You've got all the infrastructure you need right here in the town in which you live. I mean, is it Chad Ramey, right? Isn't it Chad Ramey that he's now on the PGA Tour? I believe it's him. Where he still practiced, like he grew up practicing on a course without a driving range, just a 9-hole, just old small town golf course. Made the PGA Tour. If you're good enough, you'll get there as long as you work hard, right? So I hope my son feels pride in wearing Madison on his chest if he becomes good enough at sports, because I think where you're from should matter. And you see that in youth sports, and now you're seeing it, of course, at college, that it doesn't matter. You couldn't care less that, you'll just go wherever and you'll transfer 4 times, and it works out for a school like Ole Miss, right? I mean, they're using the transfer portal, and that's great. But and sometimes where you are is not good. Sometimes you need to leave where you are. That's true too. But I think we're teaching people that representing where you're from doesn't matter anymore. Like being about where you're from doesn't matter as much anymore. I don't know. Maybe that was just all worthless, but you think the Browns throw him out there sooner rather than later? Just depends on how well they're performing, but he might transfer out anyway. Missouri got our guy last year out of high school, and then the running back comes there in December. Exactly. Getting bent out of shape about one recruit's a waste of your emotional capital. It's funny how we can get so positive and negative about this Ole Miss team, especially the closer we get to the season. 2024 left a huge impact on the fan base for better or worse. And also, I mean, they've elevated expectations, right? When you talk about Lane Kiffin elevating the floor of the program, he has done that. It is to his credit, but it is also because he's elevated the floor that we talk about them differently, that we talk about a different standard. And he's the one that started that. He was the one that talked about, and he said all the things about why are you guys clapping for us? We just lost in his first year, and he talks about playoff and like those are things that they talk about. So if that's and that's what the school is paying for, by the way. His salary is that of a coach that should make the playoff often, relatively speaking. The support staff, the everything. Ole Miss is pouring resources into that program, and as a result, you should hold it to a higher standard. You should expect more out of your program than if they go 7-5. That's not acceptable anymore. It was 15 years ago at Ole Miss, but it's not 15 years ago anymore. It's 2025, and they have everything they need to win, at least make the playoffs. And are they maximizing that? And are they going to be good enough to compete for that on a semi-annual basis? We're about to find out. Been listening to Hey Dad and Robbie lately, and they're under the assumption if State beats Arizona State, they're also beating Tennessee and starting 5-0 with 7-8 wins on the table. What do you think about that? I love them both to death. 8 wins are not on the table for Mississippi State in 2025. 8 wins are not on the table, regardless if they beat Arizona State or not. Thoughts on the Saints quarterback play today, and what should we expect from that position? Oh, gosh. Spencer Rattler needs to be much better than he is if he's going to win that job, I think, because it's not like these two are starting from the same place. And that's what kind of bugs me about the discourse. It's like Tyler Shuck has a bad practice and Rattler has a better practice. And it's like, well, see, you look at that. Or the reaction is, what's wrong with Shuck? It's like, nothing. He's a rookie. I know he's older, but he's a rookie. Rattler has had all of this already. He started games in the regular season in the NFL. So when he looks lost today, that's concerning because he's not a rookie. He's been through this different system and all that, but still, I like him. I like some of the things that he can do, but and that fumble's not really his fault, but still, pocket awareness not good. Had a couple of drops on him. I mean, I like him. I think he's talented. Shuck looks terrified to push the ball vertically unless a guy's completely and totally wide open. The interception was awful, but they're young. Problem is, I don't think defensively they're going to be bad enough to draft 1-1 this year. Shout out to your continued defense of talking about Bentley on the radio show. Not going to give it up. I was surprised at how well that was received. Usually the radio audience is very like, why are you not being so pro Ole Miss? Like that there's some audience members that are like, we need a different Ole Miss guy on because you're not a fan enough. It's like, give me a break. Are you guys serious? I mean, come on. But every message we got about that but one was like, keep going. Like they've earned this. So here's $1 million question. Between Gruden calling them out, boatloads of criticism of how the offense was run, you think Lane figured out a way to run his offense with a weak offensive line? You hope so. You hope so because it was not good enough last year. And that's okay to say. I don't know why people are so afraid of it. Offensively, they weren't good enough last year, whether it was because of the offensive line or because of the running backs, because of scheme and play calling, or a combination of the three. They did not perform well enough on that side of the ball to make the playoff. All they had to do was score 3 touchdowns against Kentucky at home, and they couldn't do it. That's all they had to do. That's all they had to do, and they couldn't do it. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. That was the issue. That was the problem. If anybody can figure that out, it is Lane Kiffin. But man, you hope that they spent a lot of time this offseason doing some self-scouting because whatever they were doing a year ago was not good enough. Be curious to watch Texas, Tennessee, and Mississippi State, who all run similar offenses to Ole Miss, but have serious offensive line or quarterback issues of their own. No kidding. A lot of love for Dart. Would there be more if he was homegrown? There would have been more initially. Absolutely, there would have been more initially. I mean, you remember this, Rob. During the quarterback battle with him and Luke Altmaier, you guys saw it. I don't know what percentage of fans it was. I would guess it's a small percentage, but there were people that were like, I want the Mississippi guy to win this job. There were people that felt strongly about that. There are still people that like actively cheer for Luke Altmaier, which that's fine, by the way, totally fine. Like good. He went and found a better situation. He wasn't going to play at Ole Miss and good on him. The local tie absolutely helps how people support players. It absolutely does. Him being a starter for 3 years probably eliminates basically all of that. But initially, absolutely, him being from Mississippi would have had people buy into him faster, 100%, because there were people that were like, I want the Mississippi guy to start. Absolutely, there were people that were like that. Again, I don't know how many, but it helps, man. Think about it. Well, hey, this guy's from Meridian. My grandfather's from Meridian. How cool is that? I'm like that. I mean, Marcus King, for example, he's a musician, but I love Marcus King. A lot of that is because he's from my hometown. I mean, now he's a brilliant guitar player, great singer, like he's awesome, but I am more gravitated towards him because he's from my hometown. Lucas Glover. I'm like, he's got like lots of casual fans and stuff, but I am Lucas Glover's probably his biggest fan. I use the PJ Tour app and I always star him every week, and his scores get auto populated to my phone because he's from my hometown. So I get why that's phenomenon exists like that. Went to the Tom Brady statue unveiling in Foxborough, tried to bring up college football to the locals, and a lot of football fans had no idea that college football was almost here. There are some people that consume both. Like there are people that watch college football on Saturday and then turn around and watch NFL on Sunday. A lot of our radio audience is a State fan, Saints fan, or a State fan, Cowboys fan, or an Ole Miss fan, Saints fan, and stuff like that. We have a lot of those. But there is a lot of NFL people, especially ones in the Northeast, like not in college football country, that don't care about college football. New York's not a big college football place, but God, they love the Giants and the Jets, even though they haven't given them much reason to, right? You were in Foxborough. Boston's not a big college football place, but they love the Patriots. In New Orleans, they love both. It's kind of cultural as well. Chicago's not a big college football place. Now, there are college football fans in Chicago, but they have a college football team in Chicago that plays in the Big Ten, and nobody cares. But God, they love the Bears, In your opinion, the floor of the program should settle around 8-4 with consistent years of competing, making the playoff. Let's say it expands to 16 in 2026, make the playoffs 3 times in 5 years, something like that. 3-5 or 5-10 every other year, yeah. With what they're investing, yes. You think the program could sustain a model of having a great team once every 2 to 3 years and reload back up to that? Absolutely, they can do that. 100% they can do that. I don't think they'll ever be able to build rosters in the same way Ohio State does. But what they're currently doing, yeah, I think that this can sustain. They would have kicked field goals when they should have. They would have gone undefeated. I don't agree with that. But I understand what you mean. Too many people think that, oh, just take the points. The field goals aren't automatic. The kicker has to make the kicks, and you didn't exactly have a reliable one last year. All offseason, people hype up Shakai Mills Knight. Haven't heard a peep since camp started. That's one of those things where you get really excited about a recruit, and then you kind of forget that they were playing high school football a few months ago. I didn't do that much. At least I hope I didn't. I know I didn't. Because you had two at the time, and now three running backs that have multiple years playing college football in front of them. Maybe as the season progresses, he gets more time. But, I mean, how is a true freshman that hasn't played a whole lot of football in his life going to just step in and overtake Logan Diggs? Or Lacey. I know Lacey doesn't have much college experience, but he's been in college for a year. You don't just walk in and he was a blue chip prospect too. You don't just walk in and take that guy's job right away as a true freshman. So having a better kicker could make up for some deficiencies. Yes, it could. A more automatic 3 would certainly help. Want to beat South Carolina again, find the hype unwarranted. Same with Mizzou's success after being equated with ours. I will say I am kind of on the Mizzou, not hype train, but I do think with the easiest schedule in the SEC, you should kind of believe in them. Judkins did, and he was a 3-star, just saying. Yeah, sometimes freshmen do come in and play well, but don't forget, Judkins is, from a talent perspective, kind of unique and pretty special. And he didn't overtake multiple starters. It's just the starter in front of him kept getting hurt. Would have been a good back, too, if he could have stayed healthy. But he's a unique circumstance. He is not the rule. He's an exception. So, yeah, Judkins was a 3-star, but Judkins was a special talent. And injury is what got him the majority of the carries anyway. But yes, the South Carolina hype, I think, is a little unwarranted. The calling for them to make the playoff at the end of last year blew my mind. The two other teams in the SEC talking about playoff bids, both beat them. Like it never made sense to me, but oh well. Austin Riley went to your high school, played with a lot of those guys growing up. Something special about it. Same way with Walter Nolan. He was an hour away from his hometown. Everyone loved him. Could definitely see Clardy or Keon Young getting reps in the secondary. We shall see. Do you think LSU's actually that good and worth the hype? I don't. There's no excuses for them to not be good anymore, though. I mean, they should have it all. They should have the right talent on defense. They have college football's only returning 4,000-yard passer. They have a pretty high-level wide receiver room, possibly one of the best, if not the best, in college football. It's up there. It's very talented. I've never been a believer in Brian Kelly at all. Kicked a lot of field goals against Georgia, and Davis was good that day, but it was effective, and consistently getting points could be useful this year in spots. And especially because they knew that day defensively, Georgia was not scoring. Georgia was just not going to score that day. Like that SEC podcast, they wouldn't stop on South Carolina deserved a spot over Ole Miss and Alabama. It made absolutely no sense. It was just like the flavor of the week. And yeah, you'll notice in the content game, a lot of people parrot each other. You'll have one person with an opinion and everybody else will just kind of copy that. I fall victim to that too. I'll hear something that somebody I'll hear somebody say something that I like, and I'm like, oh, actually, I agree with that, and then that'll be my opinion too. I fall victim to it, but there was a lot of monkey see, monkey do with the South Carolina hype, no doubt. Falling off the LSU hype closer and closer we get to the season. Yeah, 4 field goals at Kentucky would have been useful. Would have won the game. LSU should be great, but they will hit the wall week 1 against Clemson. Oh, absolutely they will. Absolutely they will. They're going to go 9-3 and piss down their leg in a game that costs them a playoff spot. Ooh, and then everybody will hate Brian Kelly. The Nussmeier thing's interesting because I do believe them that generally speaking, he's okay. Like, I believe that. He's practicing full go, all that stuff. I believe that he's fine, and he could have a hell of a season. I do believe, though, that he's 100% fine. Everybody freaking out over nothing. It's, wow, fans are crazy, blah, blah, blah. He's totally fine, nothing to worry about. And also, Brian Kelly saying it is a chronic knee issue are mutually exclusive things. He can be healthy enough to play. He can be healthy enough to play great all season long. But don't tell me when your coach says chronic knee issue that everything's totally fine. Name the 4 SEC teams you feel will fall the furthest from meeting their fan expectations. Ooh, South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee, Alabama. Any news on the new field goal kicker? Not much. Not much, but apparently they really like him. Do I really think Missouri belongs in the SEC? I get why they brought them in at the time because markets mattered for TV. Not anymore. It's an odd fit. They belong in the Big Ten. They fit so much better there. What do I think about Gruden wanting to coach in the SEC? Arkansas is going to hire him. That's what I think. Ole Miss should be ashamed they lost to LSU. I mean, just did everything wrong that you could do in a football game. But Auburn will miss fan expectations. Yes, that's another one. Although Baylor's starting running back got hurt over the weekend. So that's not good for Baylor in that one. It's late, guys. I'm going to go ahead and hang it up. I appreciate you being here. I will get you, I promise, some stuff from Keith Carter and Walker Jones this week, and then we will be back live again on Tuesday night as well. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you live on Tuesday. But hit the notification bell because once we get closer to the season and then all season, you're going to get more recorded stuff and not just live. So be on the lookout. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you on Tuesday.